My name's Hillbilly Rick. I've been in the camping business in the campground, Weather Rock Campground, for about 50 years. I'm going to tell you a bit about it. When we first started the campground back in 1971, everybody thought camping was a great business to get into. It was going to grow, and we had 15 amp receptacles and little pull behinds and mostly tenors. Well, as the time went on, at one time there was like 900 KOAs. Now, out of those 900, there's probably about those 900 original, probably 150, maybe 200 still in existence. Because we found out the camping business was not really great for overnight campgrounds in between. Yeah, you've got something like Kings Island, a big park. They go there, they want to stay there, they pay a premium price so they can go camp there, go do the rides, baseball games, football games, whatever. But as a overnight campground, you can't do that. So then we found out that, like state parks, when I raised my rate to $14 a night, the state park raised theirs to $8 a night. They did a study and figured it cost $27 a night for each camper, and they were only making $8. Well, I can't charge a third of my cost and actually make money, so that didn't work out very well. Now, so about 1989, I found out I had to give a 10% discount for a camping fee for a franchise. I had to give a 10% royalty fee to the franchise. I also had to take a credit card. I had to take it. It was around 4% by the time you added per fee and a percentage. Then you have direct cost in water of the amount of water and electricity they actually use, which meant I could lose 50% of my business and still be in just the same kind of shape and maybe salvage my campground. So in 1989, it became the first do-it-yourself campground in America. I decided I was going to concentrate on long-term campers, meaning that those that want to stay in the area can come in. And now what's happened is, with the economy and the housing markets going down in a lot of areas, the economy's tough on people. People are starting to live in their campers year-round more and more and more. Now what this is consuming all the 50 amp and the big sites available, at least in my part of the Midwest. So those big campers that want to go from Chicago to Florida, they can go rent a spot down there for $150 a day, but they can't find a spot to camp at going down there anymore. It just isn't available, so they're having to go get motel rooms or park in truck stops or Cracker Barrel. So if you want to live in a camper year-round, you're going to have to look at heated water. You're going to have some kind of skirting to keep the wind from blowing underneath. You need to look if you can get a propane tank established and set it up to fill it up for you. Otherwise, you got to get your tanks and you got to take it to the truck stops. Internet, because you got all these line of sights. We've got antennas on these buildings that are sending out a signal. But if you got trailers in between or trees, you need to look at some kind of a repeater unit on the outside of your trailer, like an antenna. And then the cable comes inside. That'll increase your internet, and you can do okay. But most of the campgrounds, like, we're on the very end of spectrum. So all the more people that get online ahead of us in the city of Evansville consume a lot of that usage. So don't expect you're going to get in on a campground internet free of charge. Is going to be really great. It might not be. So you have to look at your own dish antennas, hotspots, and all those. Now, if your water heater doesn't work on propane anymore, get rid of your trailer or quit camping. You cannot run a water heater and an electric air conditioning and your other appliances at the same time in the heat of summer. Period. You're only allowed to use 80% of your breaker size for 1 hour, which means on a 30 amp breaker you can only draw 24 amps. After that, after an hour, the power is supposed to be killed, shut off, let the wires cool in the ground. Now, you can't do that. With a water and air conditioner, you can't have any lights, TV, you can't do any cooking, you're probably going to be at the 24 amps. So you need to have that propane water heater for the heat of summer and the cold of winter. Otherwise, don't camp, give up. Now, if you're going to be long term, there's other problems. What about all your belongings and things you want to have around? Well, then they need to be packed and put underneath your trailer in plastic bins or stacked in a nice way and covered nicely. You need to look for used storage buildings. And so when people come in a long-term campground, they go, oh, look at all that crap sitting there around underneath these trailers. Well, that's what these people, that's their belongings, and that's all they have right now. And they need to have it with them so they can get it if they need this or they need that or extra clothes for winter. But they need to get storage buildings. And if you're going to be a long-term campground, we're going to look at maybe getting some storage units. The other thing is we've added in coin changers. We've got a laundromat. Come in our building. There's sign-up envelopes. You fill it out, put your money, cash, check, or you can call me with a credit card. And then we answer the phone 24 hours a day. So somebody says, well, when's your office open? I said, I closed my office in 1989. It's not been open since. We've also closed our pool. During COVID, it got to be such a hassle, and we had hassle keeping a working phone line, that we've closed the pool. I don't know if we'll ever reopen it again. I probably won't be there. It might be my son will, but we're not going to have a pool. It's not that kind of a campground anymore. We're mainly a long-term. Now, if you need a place to stay during the night, going somewhere, if we got an open spot, call in, and I'll tell you what we got. I'll tell you we've got a 30 amp water and electric. Every once in a while we might have a 50 amp full hookup, but not very often. So we get these calls every day from big motorhomes saying, we're trying to find a place to park. And I say, you need to go to a motel, park in their parking lot and rent a room from them and go inside, relax, and enjoy it. You know, what happens is still the federal and state parks are not charging what it costs to keep that site for a night, to bring it up so that small overnight campgrounds can make it. And I've got this Facebook page, Weather Rock Campground, and you're welcome to post. And yeah, my campground's not the fanciest in the world anymore. I work another job. I produce music. I've toured the world. But you know what? I paid off my mortgage and I pay my bills, which is unheard of. So you overnight campgrounds, take a listen. And if you're going to build a campground, I'll do my best to try to talk you out of building a campground. It's not a good investment in 99.9% of the cases. If you're going to build it, first you design a residential neighborhood like a housing development. You decide where your water and streets are going to be and your sewer lines. Then you can go in and chop it up and put in campsites, so when the campground fails, you've got a housing development that's worth more money because it's out. But you can't just go anywhere because you got to have water. And if it's well water, oh my gosh, what are you going to do about sewer? The regulations are there. If you got a swimming pool, there are 100 regulations. They used to make me send in my samples every week to be tested, which I agreed to, but I used to have to send them in Indianapolis. Well, on a hot day, by the time they got up there, they would not pass the test. And so the guy was really on me. So he said, next time you fail, we're going to shut your pool down. Okay. So I sent in 3 samples at one time. They all failed. Here he came. So you're going to have to shut your pool down. I said, so these pools here are ones that failed? And he goes, absolutely. And I said, well, one of them's Burdette Park on the west side of Evansville. We got down in Garvin, and we got the Lloyd Pool in Harkey. I'm going to go down there with you with my cameras, and we're going to film you while you shut those pools down. So he then allowed me to start sending my pool samples into the city health department and being tested in the city of Evansville, which is what we did. You know, and things went well after that because we ran a good, clean pool, and we raised kids and grandparents, 3 generations of kids swimming in our pool. And it breaks my heart. But with the economy as it is and all the regulations, and I'm being 75 years old, I just don't want to do the pool anymore. I don't want anybody else to almost drown, because that's scary as heck. But anyway, if you want to, check out Hillbilly Rick YouTube page, see some of my music, and the Race for the Child Hot Wheels race virtual racetracks that I make for handicapped kids or in hospital beds that want to race their Hot Wheel cars. If you want to get involved with that, just email me and let me know. And I wish you all the best in camping. It's not easy, but it's an adventure. And I can't tell you the number of families that came in with their kids and had to get out of their house for a while we're moving. And they lived during the winter in the camper for a couple of winters. And without an exception, even though it was tough, each of them would come to me at the end and say, even though it was tough, it was the best thing for our family. It brought us all together. And we had to work together in that thing. So I'm going to say, if you want to give it a try with an open mind. And yeehaw! Have a happy day.